Thank you for joining us on this platform. This is Celeb Cafe. On Celeb Cafe, we focus on the exploits of Africans by Africans and for Africans. On the last two editions, we focused guests, Chief Onyema, Dr. Onyema Chibuzor. I don't know why I keep calling you Chief. Maybe some of those days you're going to become a Chief.
Well, if I'm not yet.
Oh, you're even Mazi already.
Of course,
but
yeah.
you don't want to be called, you don't want to be referred to as a Chief.
Traditionally, every African is
So I'm
a chief.
correct. I'm
Yes,
correct.
yes,
So
if you're head of
Mazi
the
Chief
family, you're a
Dr.
chief.
Onyema Chibuzor Onyema is on the program. But on our last two editions, we saw two sides of him. We saw the psychologist part of him, and we introduced him as a certified lifestyle instructor, and we spoke about abnormal behaviors. Well, there is a tourism aspect of him, which we're going to be focusing on today. And of course, he's also the chief executive officer and the founder of Blacks Ancestral Native Communities. We talked about that. We may still have to talk about that today. But we want to look at the tourism aspect of Mazi Chief Dr. Chibuzor Onyema today. Now, nice to have you on this platform one more time.
It's a pleasure always.
And, it was nice talking to you the last time.
Always my
and
pleasure.
It's so nice to be here again. You are a broadcaster's delight. All right, let's dive into business. And like I said on the other two editions of this program, I don't want to go the way of others. I would have asked you what your interest is in tourism. But let's go to the meat of the program itself. Now, Nigeria has rich cultural heritage, breathtaking beauty, and diverse wildlife reserve, which is tourism is all about. You travel to see all of those things, either for business or for leisure. Now, how well has this potential been tapped into in Nigeria and in Africa?
Well, it's always a very difficult question to answer because there's almost no factual stance. Some persons will say, why did you say Nigeria hasn't developed its tourism potential? Others will say, oh, you were wrong in saying Nigeria is doing well enough. Truth is, the tourism potentials of this country outnumbers those of several other countries that we travel miles, thousands of miles to see. There is no state of this nation that hasn't got natural and rich tourism potential and tourism heritage. Natural. And when I say natural, it means one without enhancement is by itself breathtaking, by itself alluring, by itself inviting. In 2020, just shortly after COVID, I opined what was called Elastic Nigeria Tourism Enterprise Resource, and I held a press conference at the time calling on state governments to partner with me in advancing their tourism potentials.
And of course, I got to introduce you as the CEO, Elastic Tour Africa.
Well, Elastic Tours Africa was founded after TravelWise. TravelWise is my first tourism brand, my first travel agency business that I started in 2009 until 2014, when I found that there should be more to travel and you must add tourism to it if it has to have the flavor that it really deserves. And so we started Elastic Tours in 2014, Elastic Tours Africa. And in 2015, we founded Elastic Tours America. And when I say we, it's my wife and I. And of course, partners who then would find what you're doing interesting and attractive and wish to invest into it. And so back to your question as to whether Nigeria has harnessed the potentials inherent and available in tourism, in the tourism space, I would say yes and no. Yes, because this current administration started off well by creating the Ministry of Tourism and appointing a minister for that ministry. But no, because previous administrations and government before this one never saw tourism as something worth investing into. And so you find that they were paying lip service to tourism. By the way, anybody and everybody participates and consumes tourism product on daily basis. And this is the emphasis that I like to push forward, because if you have left one state and went to another and you are sleeping over in a hotel or in a motel or in a guest house. That's tourism, because in there you're going to eat their food, drink their water. You're probably going to buy an artifact or some material that you will find cheaper in that location than in the place where you're coming from. So tourism occurs on daily basis. Market women engage in tourism for business. Businessmen engage in tourism. There is business tourism, there's leisure tourism, there's pleasure tourism, eco-tourism, religious tourism, hospitality, you find healthcare tourism, all classes and kinds of tourism. There is cultural tourism, which is what I have greatest passion for, cultural tourism and educational tourism, because what I have done in the last 15 years is educational tourism, where I take young people to countries of the world to expose them to best practices that obtains in their various special fields, and tell them where what they should aspire is at the moment, what others are doing that we are probably not even aware of in Nigeria. And so you find young people engage in the kind of tourism products that I offer, returning home to become better, and then to become better and more aspiring towards achieving their goals and targets. Some of them even would change their orientation about their chosen careers and paths. Some have even had to completely make a turnaround from what they thought they wanted to become to becoming something. So educational tourism for me is very key. It's important because once a mind is educated, that mind is aware, and the mind's enlightenment will then engender several other development around and within him or her. Having said that, there are so many potentials that are yet untapped. The Osho Oshobo Festival, for instance, is an international festival as at today, but I feel that not much has been done in marketing that tourism potential to the world. We go to many countries. I don't want to begin to mention countries that people go for religious tourism, cultural tourism, and several other classes and kinds of tourism products that Nigeria is the father and mother of. And so you will expect that Nigeria should have the first place. And people have argued that, oh yeah, if you want to advance tourism, the security has to be right. That's correct. However, Nigeria's security is not worse than the security of several other places in the world. I was in the United States one time, and I saw the statistics that in 5 minutes, someone dies. In the city where I was, which was Chicago, somebody is gone down in 5 minutes. No
That is
news media.
every
5 minutes, somebody dies somewhere within Illinois State by gun violence, and that was in 2015. I don't know what it is now. I was listening to a local television station that broadcast this news in the media. Nobody will tell you that if you were not there in the locality. And so for us to think that Nigeria has got the worst security situation is wrong.
Yeah, you ran ahead of me because I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but you see, the thoughts are in sequence, because these are arguments that we hear every day. People say, oh, but on daily basis, if you check the statistics of those who come into this country, especially since the visa on arrival policy was implemented, you will not believe that it is Nigeria to which people come this much. And I think I alluded to this in our previous discussion the last time that I was at your studio. If you check on the bucket list of any Black African American, number one destination to travel is Africa. And check, in that Africa, Nigeria comes in the list. And if people are desirous of coming to our country, we have to then be intentional on creating. So I am saying, because Nigeria is such a large space, Nigeria is a very large nation. So I am not asking for the nation as it were, Nigeria itself, to get together its tourism potential. But I'm saying that each state government, each local government should be intentional in making sure that that tourism products that they found naturally, most of Nigeria's in their locality, is not only preserved, but is enhanced such that people can come and also advertised. If you do not sing your song, nobody will sing it for you.
Now, if I get you right, the unstable economic and the security situation of the country are not barriers, should not be barriers to the development of tourism in Nigeria if the right things are done by the right set of people.
Although there are impediments to development, and of course, when I say to development, I mean to stretching to the elasticity of the capacity. They are impediments, but they are not in themselves barriers that cause people not to wish to come. People come to this country.
The barriers are not big enough.
Now, when you hit the streets from where you and I are sitting now, check, just stand for 10 minutes, you see 2 Chinese crossing. Some of them will be driving themselves. Why are they not afraid? Who has kidnapped them? How many times do you hear that foreigners are kidnapped? You see, some of these things are media, they are not imaginative, they happen. I mean, life happens. But I tell you, sir, why some of us believe so much in this nation and have insisted on living in Nigeria irrespective of the narration. And by the way, those narrations are the making of some, I don't want to use the word enemy media, but I want to say it is only unfriendly media that will project a nation as though to say that it has gone comatose, it's bananas. There is no one nation that has not got its own challenges. Nigeria has a lot. Don't get me wrong. In fact, of course, you and I just complained about the unstable electricity situation in the country. These are issues that we need to deal with. But we have more to talk about. There are much more opportunities in this country that nobody is talking about. There are so many things for which we should insist on ensuring that Nigeria works, that nobody is interested in talking about, that I want us to begin a narrative, and if you like, a positive narrative of the suitability of habitation, so that our young people will see that it's not all hopeless as they think. Nigeria is the only country, for instance, where you can walk freely, live anywhere, buy land and build, and own 100% absolutely the property that you have so erected and built. You, sir, saw me when I arrived in Ibadan 20 years ago. It was 2004, June 22. I arrived fresh from the east. I knew nobody. I would eventually grow in Ibadan to become even a member of the local community, such that decisions would be made within the community where I lived, and the owners of the land, as it were, will consult with me, a young boy from the east, as to share my view and opinion of what I thought should be done. When I grew the resources and wished to purchase a landed property, it was sold to me freely. It is the only place that I have owned properties that I haven't had any reason to go to court or to say anything in addition to just purchasing and owning the title document. But the property is mine up to this day. No one has challenged me for owning it. No one ever challenged me. I didn't have to pay anything for me to begin the development. I mean, this country, sir, has got so much that we are not talking about, and I feel we need to accentuate the positive.
Now, let me take you back a little bit. You seem to have pointed an accusing finger at the media. If I get you right, the media is not setting correct agenda with regards to tourism in Nigeria.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's very correct.
So media should do more.
Media should do more. Media should be intentional. Media reports should be reflective of the opportunities available, and they should be real, based on facts. Investigative journalism entails that you go to a place and find what the situation exactly is. There are certain tourism sites today that the media hasn't gone to. But I come from Abia State, as you know, and I'm very passionate about Azumili Blue River. Azumili Blue River, for me, is a heaven, is a tourism heaven. And I'm also trying to get the attention of my state governor to know the huge potential of investment that exists for just Azumili Blue River. There can be so many things. And in the last tourism World travel market that we attended in London last year, I met with hungry investors who wish to come and build a five-star tourism resort out of Azumli Blue River, for instance. Governments should know that these are low-hanging fruits that they can use in expanding the economies of their states. And that's just one out of several. I come from a locality where we used to have, our ancestors used to have a very irregular form of water source that used to come from the ground. And that place is there today. I visited there recently and I saw that they are turning the place fast into farmland. But that would have been a good tourism site because I'd like to take my children there to show them where our ancestors.
So what you're saying is tourism business is where to look at if government wants to diversify, for instance, from oil.
Exactly. In fact, that's the emphasis that I laid when I launched the Elastic Nigeria Tourism Enterprise Resource. I mentioned that that's one very good way of removing people's mind. Of course, I'm saying removing, I mean, people's mind is so fixated in the oil economy that every young person wants to study to be able to work in the oil industry. But that's just, I mean, tourism has more potential, sir, than oil because it doesn't have an end.
Can you say confidently that tourism, for instance, is the next oil in Nigeria?
Well, if you call it the next oil, that would be making oil also look like it's some very big industry and big source of the. Oh yeah, we cannot deny the fact that oil has contributed to. Of course, that's our only main source of income as at today in Nigeria. It's the major, rather, not the only source of it, but it's our major source of income as a nation. Tourism, yeah, if you choose to use the word the next oil, yes. Reason because we're talking about eco-preservation now. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about issues of weather degradation and all that comes with the oil flaring, gas flaring, and all what have you. Tourism is eco-friendly. Tourism is natural. Tourism is preservative. Conservation is one area that I have passion for. So if you say that climate change issues should be taken care of and conservation should be advanced, tourism will be one way to advance conservation.
Now, quickly, just like it's coming to me now, you're a psychologist.
Yes.
And you know Nigeria and Africa so well. I'm sure you believe that Nigerians don't like to travel at all. Nigerians don't know how to relax. That's what we've been hearing. Would you like to encourage Nigerians and Africans to engage in tourism as a form of relaxation that it is?
Yes. You see, Nigerians travel a lot. It's just that they don't know how to build in relaxation and tourism into their many trips. Nigeria, in fact, is one country where people like to travel a lot. In fact, if somebody is in Lagos, and he has something to sell to you in Ibadan, he would rather just say, okay, you know what, I'll come to Lagos and meet you. Nigeria is one place where regular travel occurs, even avoidable travel occurs. So it will be to teach people how to accommodate tourism as part of their travel itinerary and routine. So yes, Nigerians should learn how to use and utilize our tourism spaces effectively for stress management. I talked about stress in my previous video. And again, tourism is not as expensive as people think it is. Families will be more united if they travel together and stayed in one place together for recreation. Then there are some issues that you find in families that tourism will take care of, that don't necessarily need you to see a psychologist. A wife who has not been taken out once by her husband may become tense and overstressed at some point. And the man just taking the woman from where they live to another location can resolve that issue of tension and then make the woman feel relaxed and return recharged.
Wow.
So that's how much tourism, and there's so many, including healthcare. There are certain issues of healthcare that tourism can take care of. Ecotourism, for instance, breathing deep in an eco-friendly environment can heal lung disease. You know, I'm a natural health enthusiast, and of course, you know, I'm a certified lifestyle instructor. So there are certain natural cure that you can gain only by traveling from one location to another.
So tourism is useful for all the facets of
tourism,
life,
yes.
Economy, health.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Walking barefooted on the river path can make you get healing on issues of skin.
So tourism is what every Nigerians must embrace.
That is, in fact, there's no better way of saying it. Every Nigerian should be a tourist, and tourists should be every Nigerian.
But how cheap or how costly it is?
Tourism is cheap. Tourism is not
cheap?
expensive, yes.
Well, we get to talk about...
Tourism is cheaper than junk food, for instance. Tourism is cheaper than the data we consume. Tourism is cheaper than certain lifestyle habits that we form. Tourism is cheaper than certain frivolities we indulge in. Tourism is cheap and affordable.
All right, fine. Now, as we begin to conclude on this program for this week, now let's look at the interest of the younger generation. And you admit with me that the younger generation have been accused of getting engaged in some dangerous activities, Yahoo, and all that. Do you think tourism can be an alternative for the younger generation in Nigeria and Africa?
I don't need to even talk much about that. With their Android phones, the same one they use in trying to scam people, they can make beautiful videos of sceneries and pictures.
Do they know?
That's why this program is coming out, so that they then would know that with their phone, they can make videos of certain locations that their friends haven't been, and post online, and the traction they will get from there, they earn from both YouTube and earn from. There is so much. As a matter of the gold mine of this generation is on social media. The internet is the new gold mine, so they should leverage tourism in harnessing the economic potentials that their internet affords them. This generation is the most privileged generation there could ever be before perhaps the end of time.
All right, so you heard it. As a young man and as a young woman watching this program this week, you can do something else with yourself. Just take a picture of a good tourist site and then put it on your platform, and then watch out for the traction you get. And then, yippee, you're there making cool dollars for yourself.
That's right.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chibuzo.
Thank you very much.
This is the Chief Executive Officer of Elastic Tours Africa. And we've been talking tourism. That's just one aspect of Dr. Chibuzo Onyema. We hope to expose the story of his life some other day. All right, I told that we've spoken about his love for Africans going back to their roots, and that's in Bank, Blacks, ancestral native communities. You must have listened to that. All right, he's also a certified lifestyle instructor. He talks to you about how to run your life and avoid abnormal behaviors. I love that topic, abnormal behaviors. And today we've spoken about tourism, and you can bet that this one man is a man of so many parts. We hope to have you on this platform sometime in the future, very soon.
It will be my pleasure to return.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd like to say a very big thank you to our producer and camera woman, Shola Akeropo. We appreciate you. She's been doing a very great job. Thank you so much. See you again.